practice earlier today without classes. We'll go at 2 o'clock. So guys are in position meetings right now, ready to focus on this week. It'll be a tough week, obviously. Eastern Washington's a really good football team, beat Washington State, and never really were slowed down, I don't think, offensively. And they're improved defensively from last year. I really was impressed with how those kids flew to the football and did a nice job against a really talented Washington State team. So we've got a lot of work to do this week and have to improve this week. We'll have some good practice time. We're able to go in full pads today rather than going in just T-shirts like we normally would on Monday. So we have a lot of work to do this week to have a chance to be successful on Saturday. So we'll open up for questions.
You feel like having Saturday off was beneficial to your guys?
Yeah, I definitely do. When you come in early to camp and you grind for a month before school starts, you need a little bit of a break. And our guys had 2 full days off. You know, they had all day Saturday and all day Sunday to try to get away from football, watch some football if they could, but they need to be able to recharge their batteries as well.
Coach, where does Cooper Kupp stand up and guys you've had a game plan for in all your years of coaching?
As good as anybody. Different because he's going to be in the slot a fair amount. They're going to work him outside. He played some quarterback. They gave it to him on the jet sweep. Just a phenomenal football player that is really fun to watch. I'm not excited about defending him, but what a great challenge for our defense that you have the most prolific receiver in FCS history coming into Gate City Bank Field, and we'll have our hands full. He's a great player. There's no doubt about that.
Coach Baldwin said he's the smartest player he's ever been around. Does that come through on tape?
You bet. You can tell he knows where, if you're playing him inside, he's going to break out, playing him out, breaking in, as well as he can read coverages and see things and know where the holes are in defenses. You know, when you run this kind of an offense, they've seen every coverage known to mankind. So he has a really good grasp of reading defenses and finding the open holes.
What were your thoughts on their quarterback play, given that it was his first start?
I thought he did a great job in his first start in a tough environment, and threw the ball extremely well, threw it on time, ran the ball really well, and that was the one thing that we weren't sure of was his ability to run the football. But he broke the 30-yarder late, had good speed, had good elusiveness, and he's a factor running the football, no question about that.
What's the status of Nick DeLuca?
He's practicing today, so that's a good sign. He'll be out there in a white jersey, but he'll have pads on and he'll go through everything. So that's our hope. The next 3 days we'll learn a lot more, but the fact that he's practicing leads me to believe he'll have an opportunity to play.
When you play a wide open team like this, is it more important for your offense to be efficient?
It is no question, it is a team game. For us to be successful, your best defense is an offense that's on the field, controlling the football, making sure that you win on third down and keep the chains moving and try to keep their great offense on the sideline. So we've talked about it. We had a meeting again at noon with the team talking about how our formula would be to have success on Saturday, and that's a big key, is to hang on to the football.
It looked like more of a 4 or 5 wide over the double tight they showed a lot more last year. Does that lead you to believe your pro minute's going to be a nickel almost the entire day?
Yeah, and they'll put a tight end there. The tight end was in. They had one tight end in a fair amount of times as well. But yes, unless they're in their 2 tight end stuff, that would lead us to be a lot more nickel.
Will there be more conversation with Jalen and Jalen this week about kind of coaching them up and getting them ready to face this throwing attack?
Well, it's not just those guys. It's everybody, like I said, because it's not, Cooper Kupp's a phenomenal receiver, but they have a lot of guys around him that are really good receivers as well. So we have to know where, everybody's got to be on point. Everybody has to know what their assignment and job is. And so it's not just those 2 guys. It's, the back 7 in our 4-down rush. The back 7 have to do a great job of being able to be able to defend the pass.
This game, you got Montana, Northern Iowa game, it seems these regional matchups of national implications. What are your thoughts on that?
I think they're great. We talk about it. I know Matt and I visit about having great competition in the games you play in FCS, and unbelievably tough schedule. Go from Charleston Southern, which does a lot of the option stuff, to flip the page. and go against a prolific passing game like this. It's everything we didn't work on in the spring and everything you don't work on in fall camp because of what we do offensively. But I think they're great matchups for FCS. I think it's, you look at the top 10 and we're going to play 7 of them, I think, or 6 of them. That's really good competition in FCS.
What have you seen out of Easton this week, this past week? Have you seen him kind of respond the way that you wanted him to?
Mm-hmm. He had a good week of practice last week. This week will even be more important once we, kind of really hone in on the game plan and what we're trying to do to attack Eastern Washington. But no, he's had a good week, and you hope not only Eastern but everybody is better from week 1 to week 2.
Coach, you mentioned some things on the defensive side that Eastern Washington does that might be difficult for you. What you see on tape on that side?
Just the multiple fronts, are they going to be a 3 down? Are they going to be a 4 down? The different stunts and movement they do with their defensive line. We didn't get a lot of great looks from the Washington State game because Washington State doesn't ever have a tight end on the field. But from our previous film study, just the amount of movement they do up front.
Coach, what did you learn about that first game with the way the offensive line, you kind of had to mix and match up there without Austin again for a second straight week? Do you have to try to simplify things a little bit for those guys?
Not necessarily. I just think we have to continue to improve. And last week's open week really helped guys like Tanner Volson and Colin Connor and young Zach Johnson getting another good week of practice. We went some good on good, starters against starters, which is always good for those guys to have to block those guys, on defense, the Menards and Stanley Jones and Brocious and those fellows. But I think we've continued to improve in the offensive line, and this week's going to be critical to show that improvement so we can keep the football.
Facing a passing team, will more guys or different guys playing defense than did against, facing the option of Charleston Southern?
Well, potentially. Obviously, it puts Bachmeyer in the fold a little bit more if Robbie's playing nickel. We practiced last week without Nick, so it put Chris Board into the game a little bit and got him some really valuable repetition. Now, whether or not we stay in our base defense and have Robbie play safety and let Pierre play the nickel, we'll have that in, as well as bringing Bach in and moving Robbie down. We have to be able to do both, playing our base front and our nickel front with our 4 down.
Would MJ and Pierre then, depending on Nick's health, would MJ and Pierre potentially be the 2 backers then in nickel, or would you move some of that around? Depending?
If it's nickel and Nick wouldn't be able to play, then we can go Pierre and MJ, or Marlette and MJ, or Plank and MJ. MJ would be the guy that would always stay on the field right now. But, like I said, our hope and our plan is for Nick to play. He's practicing today. If he wasn't going to practice till Wednesday, I'd have been a little bit more nervous, but he's practicing today.
You talk a lot about the versatility you have at running back. Do you see a situation where someone like King ends up getting 25 carries a game and kind of just takes that lion's share?
Probably not this week. King missed practice all last week with an ankle injury, so really Bruce and Lance and Chase received most of the reps. Now we'll see where King's at today with his ankle. We haven't practiced, so I doubt if we'll get into that mode of 25. Now we need to carry the football more and be more effective. Now whether that is 15 and 15 for a couple of guys or 18 and 18, that's what we need to find out.
Do you have a number? Washington State ran it 25 times. Do you have a number in mind you'd like to run the ball against Eastern Washington?
I would like to get close to 50. In a perfect world, that means you're holding it for 35 plus minutes.
Were you able to see what happened Saturday night? The 3 Power 5 teams got beat by the FCS, and what that means for concluded by 2 opponents of yours this season?
Yeah, I think it goes to show you what, like we talked about even after the game against Charleston Southern, it's just hard to win college football games. Ask Notre Dame. That was a great college game that nobody really deserved to lose, and then somebody, lo and behold, got an L behind their name. So it's just, there's so much parity. In all college football, there's not as big a discrepancy, I think, as some people think between some of the FCS and FBS. But it's just hard to win games. It's South Dakota State. I was really happy to see that they went toe-to-toe with TCU. It's great for our league when we're playing as well as we are against the big boys.
What's your reaction to your former quarterback getting to start on Sunday?
Real excited for Carson. I think that we'll all be kind of glued to the television next Sunday. We hope everybody leaves him alone this week so that he can work on what he needs to get himself prepared to play on Sunday. But I know that the moment won't be too big for him. Now, they must feel really good about him missing the games, that he's ready to step in and play. But really excited. What a great opportunity for him. And that's like we talked when we were in Chicago in April. This is why he's here. He's not there to sit. He wants to play. And so I'm excited to watch him.
Have you talked to him at all since?
We've texted an awful lot throughout camp, but have not visited with him on the phone since probably first week of August.
Closer to pulling a red shirt off a kid, or is that kind of settled?
Probably settled, unless we have an injury. We still are working a few guys up with the 1s and 2s, whether it be Sean Engel or Jabril Cox or something like that. We're still working a few guys there, but let's see how we do, over the injury factor over the next couple weeks.
Outside of Nick, where are your injuries at?
King didn't practice last week with an ankle. We hope he's closer to full speed. Ben Ellefson, I think, I know is going to be much better because he did get all the practices in last week. Nate Jensen didn't practice last week. He had a cortisone shot, so I think he'll be ready to go this week. But probably King and Nick would be the two guys, and let's see how they do this afternoon at practice.
All right, thanks everybody.
Great, thanks.